Now I'm going to bring this back into the question of the Anthropocene briefly. You've seen this chart before, and we will be reading the paper that this chart comes from, this table comes from. And we'll be moving forward in potential starting dates for a formal Anthropocene epoch to the present. We'll be thinking about, first, the New Old World collision, Eurasian Americas event, global impact, in which European colonial exploration and colonization of newly quote-unquote discovered lands, not really discovered by humans, humans already live there, but discovered by the English and the Dutch and the Spanish and the Portuguese and so on, leads to a series of transformations of the ecosphere, and also leaving record in the geological record that some argue could mark the beginning of the Anthropocene in about 1610. We'll look at that in our discussion of ceremony. We'll also think about the Industrial Revolution and the Great Acceleration, right? So this post-World War II acceleration of technological and industrial processes that has radically transformed the planet in just the last 70 years. But we'll also pay very close attention to nuclear weapon detonation, and that's 1945 to present on this chart, with a peak potential GSSP date in 1964 as a result of isotopes of carbon and plutonium settling into the Earth and living creatures on the Earth in an evenly distributed fashion after a period of atmospheric nuclear weapons tests. So all of this here is part of the novel if we read it through the lens of the Anthropocene. To close, I'll note that I'll be giving you an assignment for Thursday to read the very first part of ceremony. I'll also share some resources with you to help you make sense of the sometimes complicated timeline, right? It goes back and forth between a narrative present in the novel, where it's the 1950s, to Tayo's time in the war, and at times we go into kind of mythical pasts or a kind of a dream world in which Tayo is seeking to heal himself from the trauma he's experienced in the war, and as someone who grew up not knowing his father and having lost his mother, and also being considered a quote-unquote half-breed, half-white and half-Indian, which in combination leave him struggling with a lot of trauma. The novel is the story of how he works to overcome that trauma.